Mikee P back in the Money Media YouTube channel. We got some December Derby preps for this weekend. So the Gallop Out guys are here. Jackson Muniz, Ryan Anderson to look into these Derby prep races. We got Derby points on the line, some Twin Spires contest in play also that we're going to promote. Jackson, what's going on?
What's going on, guys? Good to talk to you guys each again. And as you kind of mentioned, Mikey, we got a couple exciting Derby preps this weekend. I thought both of the ones that we're going to talk about are really good betting races, and then the Gun Runner in particular. I think we're going to see a couple of horses in there that might make some noise on the Derby Trail next year.
And Ryan, you guys have on the Gallop Out this week a look at that Springboard Mile. Yeah, when is that show being recorded?
We are doing Oaklawn tomorrow with Matt Ditterman. We covered the Springboard Mile yesterday on Pacific Horse Players on HHH. So we got everything covered, and then now we get to cover the Gun Runner Stakes. And I agree with Jackson. I think some of those runners in there are going to make some noise throughout the winter down at the fairgrounds.
Yeah, these guys are everywhere, so it's tough for me to go straight. However, if you're interested in that content, I'm sure that you can find all the coverage, especially on the ITM Media Network. We're going to look at fairgrounds, and they have a contest on Saturday at Twin Spires for the Gun Runner. And if you go to twinspires.com and go to that tournaments page, they are loaded with qualifiers. You can look at the rescheduled Turfway qualifier this weekend, also for that synthetic championships. But the Gun Runner is certainly part of a $500 contest KDB qualifier here this Saturday. And it's $250 bankroll. $250 goes to the prize pool. And typical contest rules apply. So lots of great contests on Twin Spires this weekend. We also have a Turfway Remington Springboard Mile Challenge going on Saturday as well. So go to twinspires.com, go to that tournaments tab, look to qualify for the big tournaments. And of course, if you look, that's all leading into that KDBC on Kentucky Derby Day for May 2nd, 2026. So jump over to Twin Spires, get in on the contest. These guys are playing in a contest right now as we're recording this. So obviously we love the contest at twinspires.com. So we're going to get to work here so they can get back to business with their contest. Fairgrounds, Gun Runner. It's race number 11 on a Saturday at Fairgrounds. And Jackson, you mentioned you thought that this was a fantastic betting race. I tend to agree. We have a couple Mikee P horses. We have some Brad Cox horses. Who do you like?
Yeah, this was a really difficult race, and it's tough to know who's going to get bet in this spot. But I think the key to it is the pace scenario. And looking at most of this field, there's just a lot of these horses have been coming from further off the pace than they probably would like to. And that might set it up for a horse like Chip Honcho in this spot, who I kind of view as a horse speed because he does have the most speed in here. Now, he broke his maiden last time, second time out going at Churchill Downs. Kind of a weird race where he broke really sharp, got the front end, and as they crossed the chute, he kind of ducked in and almost went to the rail and then kind of regather himself, went off stride, and then he was still able to win that race pretty nicely in the end. And looking at his first two races, as I said, he's got the speed, he's got the speed figures. The blinkers are going on in this race, and I don't really know who's going to run with them early because I guess Crown the Buckeye is somewhat quick. Mr. Punch is quick to the outside too, but they're not as quick as he is. Though I think if he's able to establish the front end by himself, control this pace, if you're able to get 9-2 on him, I think that's a very attractive price. So I'd be leaning on him in this spot, at least as of right now.
Something interesting that I noticed about him is that day at Churchill, November 20th, almost every winner was from off the pace, and that was the last race that day. He got the front and went wire to wire, and even the announcer was mentioning, Travis said, very impressive performance despite, the little bit of trouble and kind of the greenness there. So I do think that Chip Honcho was against it in the last and certainly should be forward again. If you remember last year in the Gun Runner, a wire to wire winner. Ryan, do you agree with Jackson here, or are you looking elsewhere?
Chip Honcho certainly a big threat in this spot with the blinkers on for Steve Asmussen, but I went one to the inside in Mesquite. I thought nothing was wrong with the debut at Keeneland. Cherie obviously not known for cranking him out first time, but Jose was named aboard, which always kind of tips the hand that Cherie thinks something of the horse. Came out next time at Churchill Downs, went straight to 2 turns, being by Union Rags. That makes a lot of sense. Passed that test with flying colors, closed really nicely in there, and I think if Chip Honcho goes maybe a little too fast, that fairground stretch is a very long stretch. It never seems to end. I do think that there's a chance Mesquite is able to kind of pick up all the pieces late down the lane, because that stretch goes on just forever, it seems.
Now, what did you make of his race last time? Because, there was lots of greenness there. I mean, he kind of, had to take back at the start, and then he sort of had trouble on the backside, and then had to come wide. I mean, quite the trip there. And then he was leaning in the stretch. I mean, there were just lots of things that this horse certainly is fast and probably should improve. I mean, maybe he can remain green, but I don't know how much more green he could be than the past race.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And I mean, this is his third career start. He's really, going into the deep end, but Cherie does bring them along really nicely. And she typically has a really strong string down at Fairgrounds. It's encouraging to see Jose sticking aboard. He hopped off of Chip Honcho to ride this horse, but obviously he has a long-standing relationship with DeVoe and riding there. So I'm not necessarily shocked by that. But I think if Mesquite can take another step forward, kind of get his head right and get his mind focused on business. He seemed towards the end maybe he was figuring things out just a little bit. So I want to take another shot, and I think he might just be one of those that's really coming into his own. So if he puts everything together on Saturday, he's going to be one to look out for.
Yeah, I think if you guys told me that there was a horse in this race that was going to win by 4, run off the screen, and get a 99 buyer, it feels like it would be him, because as you guys kind of said, he didn't break great. He hated the kickback. He was like bucking and prancing and dancing to get the outside early on. Then he was wide. Then he was lugging in the entire stretch. I mean, he won that race despite a lot of things going against him, a lot of greenness for him. This is just his third career start. So if he's able to put it all together, I'm not going to be surprised at all if he runs really well in here. My concern is his lack of speed. He's just been so far back in both of those 2 starts. Now he's got to do it against some better horses. But no doubt there's a lot of talent for this colt.
You did bring up something too with the kickback that he resented last time. That's kind of my one major concern, is that he drew the rail here. And I mean, with no early speed, he's probably going to get that kickback again. So would I've liked to see him draw out wider? Yes, but it's an 8-horse field, and I'm confident Jose can kind of work something out. But I'm with you. I think Mesquite either kind of runs off the board, or he's going to just be a little bit too green for this field. So I'll take a shot at 9-2. I think that's value enough for me.
A couple of other interesting contenders in here from the Ken McPeak barn. You have Liberty National. You have Very Connected, both actually available if you're interested in ownership for those. And one of our other sponsors here, morningline.io/ITM. You can get in on both of those horses. Still shares available. So you want to take part in horses that are participating in Derby preps. Well, there's your chance. Go to morningline.io/ITM and get involved there. But Jackson, back to you. Either one of those McPeak horses tickle you at all? Do you think they have a chance? They do have different styles.
I would be more interested in Liberty National than Very Connected. Very Connected, I know he's been running against – he's like the one horse that's dropping in class. I just wasn't in love with his last couple of races. It felt like he kind of just picked up pieces of races that fell apart late and just clunking up for 3rd and 4th in those starts. So I'd be against him in here, especially with the projected pace scenario. But Liberty National is another lightly raced horse who he ran okay first time out at Keeneland, going 1 turn. Then they stretched him out at Churchill Downs, and he ran really well that day to win that race. He got a really good trip in there, to be fair. But it wasn't like he came from mid-pack. It was a really slow pace, and he won that race really decisively. So I think if he moves forward again in this spot, he's going to be dangerous too. I just think if he's going to really be the favorite in this race, I think a couple others are a little more interesting.
Yeah, and Travis mentioned with Liberty National, we got a great ride in there. He got typical Brian Hernandez type rail skimming trip, but he looked very good doing it. And I thought he certainly improved greatly. I wasn't crazy about his race there at Keeneland on October 16th, and he really improved 2 turns there. They paid $525 for that one, Ryan. You give any look to the McPeak ones, or any thoughts real quick on Crown the Buckeye, the Ohio bred? That one has some big numbers too, going to take some money.
Yeah, real quick on the McPeak horses that are available. Liberty National, definitely a deserving favorite in here. Put things together that second time out, 1 by 4, in breaking the maiden. 3rd career start, but you're getting a few horses in here just breaking their maiden. In fact, most of them are. And facing winners for the first time is something a lot of these horses are doing. I think you can find value in looking elsewhere to some other horses. These 2-year-olds can jump up in form so frequently. To touch on the number 5, Crown the Buckeye for Mike Maker. He's been a little cold as of late. Mike Maker's barn, all in all, we touched on that yesterday, Jackson. But this is another one of those Yaupons. This is actually the only one to win going 2 turns on the dirt to start Yaupon's career. So obviously he did that very well last time out. That was in a stake race at Mahoning Valley, excuse me. So he's going to have to come back and do it against a lot better, but he's done nothing wrong to start his career. Nothing wrong with the debut, and then came right back out with 2 very dominant performances and stepped up those speed figures. So he comes in here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him go off as maybe the clear second choice, possibly even a co-favorite, just off that last number. And he's a stakes winner multiple times, and that's not something you can say for anybody else in this field.
Yeah, we've gone this far, and we haven't even mentioned the Brad Cox horses either. The 6 Arabia Wild, you have Mr. Punch. Jackson, I'll give you a last word on this race. Any love for the Brad Cox horses? I know the 6, no Lasix this time. I did like this horse last time over this racetrack, and he got the job done, but looks a little slow. And then Mr. Punch was offered for $100,000 last time. Got a nice figure, though, going onto the dirt. That one seems to be the one with maybe the chance to upset.
Agreed. I think Arabia Wild is in tough in here. He could take a step forward, but the problem is he's running numbers that are too slow already. And a lot of these horses are also probably supposed to take steps forward in this spot. So I don't love him in here. But Mr. Punch would be my second pick in here. And if he drifts up a little bit off of that morning line, I'd be very interested in him. Because that last race was really good. And I know that came against claimers, $100,000 claimers. But, boy, he got himself in the right position early. He was 3 wide stalking. I project that to be the same trip he gets on Saturday. And he actually gets past turning for home. The horse comes to his outside, makes a big move, goes right and by, and he sees that move, and he takes off again, opens up on the horse quickly, and ran away from that field. And the runbacks make that number look pretty legit. It's going to be his 3rd career start. And as I said, I think he's going to get a really good trip in this spot. And he has very similar numbers to everyone else in this race. So if he's anywhere near that 6-1 morning line price, I think that's a pretty fair price.
Can I ask you something, Jackson?
Of course.
Does it not, and Mikey too, does it not concern you guys that this is a half, the 8 Mr. Punch is a half to United, who won 1.8 mil, is a half to like a $750,000 plus in Harlan Punch, who is a dirt router. They debuted this one on the turf and then immediately threw him in for the tag. I mean, they paid a lot of money for this horse. They certainly could have found a maiden special weight in Kentucky or elsewhere. That's a few too many red flags for me.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's very fair. It's very valid. I just think I would be banking on the fact that he ran so well last time. Like maybe it was just kind of somewhat of a give up and okay, we'll just try him in the dirt. But he really responded. It's not like he won that race and got like a 60. I mean, he got an 81 buyer. It's a really strong number. And now they're throwing him back onto the Derby trail immediately. So I would take that as a positive sign. And also, I don't think he's going to be one of those Brad Cox runners that's 5-2. Like I think he's going to be around 6-1, 7-1, 8-1, that kind of price.
Yeah, very fair. Just curious your thoughts.
Let's switch to the Springboard Mile here Saturday at Remington. It's race number 12. Late night. You better stay up late. 11:26 Eastern time. Stakes laden card at Remington. This is typically a nice card there. Lots of nice stakes races leading into that Springboard Mile. And remember last year, Coal Battle showed himself very well. Also with Speed King, that Springboard Mile last year was certainly pertinent leading up to those 3-year-old preps for the Derby. This year, Ryan, this race doesn't really feature, I don't think, the same level of horse, but we could be surprised. I know that you guys went over this race already. Give us your thoughts here.
Yeah, Jackson, you and I are going to have some fun talking about this race. I'm going with the number 10, Big Apple Patrick, getting a bit of a price in here. Broke the maiden first time out at 1 turn, immediately stretched out to the 2-turn test in a starter allowance, found himself on the lead that day, has run over a wet track in 2 starts to this one's career, and that's kind of what I focused in on. I love when a young horse has still done things right, but is yet to face or run on a fast main track. Typically, that's where most horses do their best running. I know this one is, bred a little bit to like the slot, but I think he's bred just as much to love the 2 turns on the fast going. So I want to see what Big Apple Patrick can do at a big price at 15-1 on the morning line, against a field that doesn't really feature any 2-year-old killers. Obviously, those are pretty hard to find right now. Has improved in his 2 career starts, and I think can definitely take another step forward for the hot riding Walter Rodriguez.
Yeah, I'm sure Jackson remembers this one because we needed this horse on November 22nd for a contest there at Churchill, but we couldn't find a way to get second in that spot. Anyway, Jackson, your thoughts on Big Apple Patrick and some of the others?
Yeah, I can't bet him because this is the horse that beat us for BCBCC first time out and then cost us, I believe, a KDBC second time out when we actually had him. So I'm a little biased when it comes to this horse, but I think Ryan and I see this race very similarly in that he's taking a shot at the price, as am I. I just don't love the favorites in here. Spice Runner is going to be favored, it looks like, based on the morning line. He's fine. He comes out of that Kentucky Jockey Club race where it kind of fell apart. He had things go his own way, and he just didn't really run. The race before that was just okay, too. Just not a big fan of his. Time for Music, another horse that is supposed to take money. Another horse that last time just took advantage of a total pace collapse at a big, big number. He didn't even win that race. He was actually very soundly defeated that day. So I don't love horses like that. And then Arctic Beast is the one I fear the most on the rail because he's just kind of an unknown. Very speedy type, very fast, has run fast numbers. The 2 turns is a question mark, but I would view him as the horse to beat here. But even so, I'm going to try to beat him as well. I went to the 9, big price. Western Man, second-time starter, Oklahoma bred, and he's only run the one time, but I was really impressed with it. Watching the replay, he kind of missed the break, then he kind of rushed up, got himself into contention, and was chasing this big favorite at 1-5. And it seemed like coming around the turn, the rider could have gone around very easily and said, okay, we'll just go wide. I'm on the best horse. But he seemed like he intentionally was waiting for the split just to see what the horse could do. And he really responded to it once they hit the top of the stretch. Split horses, and in an instant, he was up 10 lengths. I mean, he didn't get the front to the last furlong or so. He ran away from that field. And I know this is a huge step up, but visually, I just like the way he did it. I think the stretch after 2 turns based on the pedigree is going to do him some good. And if he takes a step forward in here, I think he can be competitive at a monster number.
Yeah, the Spice Runner is going to take a lot of money in here. And the thing about him is he was an early 2-year-old, right? I mean, he was running in those 5 furlongs races back in May, and he won first time out. And then, of course, he went to the Bashford Manor, and he was in those early Churchill Stakes races, early Kentucky, kind of sprinty type stakes. And he was okay. He raced well, but I don't know. The last 2 starts, he's been facing much better, but I'm not sure that the 2 turns is necessarily his game. So I do think that he's one horse that I would like to fade also in here. I don't really know what to do with the 2 Time for Music. I do think that one is going to take money also coming off that Keeneland maiden special weight win, but was 24-1 last time in a 1X at Churchill. So now it's going to come here, and yeah, you have the connections. They're going to take money. They paid $750 for this one. We'll see. Another one that I just think is a little iffy. And then, Arctic Beast, he's had perfect trips. I mean, he's speedy. He's been going short and racing very well from just right off the leader and then kicking away versus New York breds. Now, he did win at Saratoga first time out, and there's something to be said for that. But I don't know. He's another one that's hard to take from the inside. What kind of trip's he going to get? He certainly be tough to get that same kind of outside stalking perfect trip again from the rail in here. I went with the price also. I went with the 4 Royal American. I know this horse needs to step it up, but no Lasix so far, and he's racing state breds at Remington. But that race last time, I mean, he did not have an easy trip. He got shuffled back so much. I mean, he's 1-9 in there, but the announcer certainly saw plenty of trouble, and there was like a cavalry charge up front. He had to back out, and he ended up coming and winning late. He was green too. I mean, this horse looks very green. He needs to improve, but I do think if he grows up a little bit, he has possibilities in a race that really, I don't like any of the favorites at all. Like I could see Jackson's horse in there. I could see Ryan's horse. I mean, there's so many ways you can go in here. You need to take a price. So lots of fun for these Derby preps. Certainly both pretty wide open spots. Final thoughts from you guys. Jackson, go ahead.
Really quick, number 6, Supreme Good, because Ryan and I see this horse very differently, and I want you to break the tie on this horse for Kenny McPeak off the maiden score up at Aqueduct. Just general thoughts.
I mean, horses like this for me, I'm very suspicious of horses that win off the turf, kind of races. So that was an off the turf race that he won back on September the 15th. And I galloped in there, but again, I'm just suspicious of those kind of races. Kind of got to set up in there now, straight into a stakes race. They do bring a jockey here. He's just okay for me. I don't know. He's probably overbet, right? I mean, do you like him or don't like him?
I didn't mind him. I don't think he's gonna be 8-1 is the problem. I think he could be like half that come post time. But I think there were things to like about that race when I know he crushed. I know he beat a bunch of turf horses, but he did it the right way. The number came back pretty strong for a September 2-year-old. And with any kind of projected move forward, he should be right there too, based on how fast everyone else is running.
Yeah, I mean, McPeak has a lot of horses too, and he's finding these spots for these. I mean, the fact that they're stepping into this race, I do find that very interesting. Ryan, you don't like him at all?
Not at all. I mean, in that last race, the horse that ran second to him was a main track only entrant that's kind of become a career maiden in the Obliterator. Everybody else was turf horses. No, I want absolutely nothing to do with this horse. I don't care if this horse is 12-1, 4-1, 8-1. I'm not going to touch this horse. He won't be on any of my tickets. I feel the same way about Arctic Beast. I think that when you look at through that horse's past performances, last time out drew post 3 of 4, and the 2 times before that to the farthest to the outside, sat just absolute garden trips, as you guys kind of pointed out. And I think that's all the reason to play against a 2-year-old in the stake. Also has to try going 2 turns for the first time. So, I mean, I think the theme of this race is you got to just try and beat the favorites.
Mm-hmm. All right, final thoughts, guys. Give me picks for both races, and we'll get out of here. And let me know, you playing in these contests this weekend?
Yeah. Go ahead.
All right. So I'll start with the picks. I'll go Mesquite in the Gunrunner Stakes and Big Apple Patrick in the Springboard Mile. And then to get into the tournaments for this weekend, yes, I'm qualified for 1 seat so far to the tournament for the Gunrunner at Fairgrounds. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to try and get a second qualifying seat here, and we'll kind of go from there. But yeah, it's going to be a fun weekend. I love these Twin Spires tourneys.
Jackson.
Yeah, and the Gun Runner, I'm going to go with Chimp Honcho barely on top. Depending on the price, I may switch to Mr. Punch. In between those two, I think it's going to be one of them. And then in the Springboard Mile, I like Western Man at a huge number, so I'm going to try to blow up the tote there. It's going to be a lot of fun. I mean, it feels like this is kind of the unofficial start of the Triple Crown Trail with these 2 stakes races, and really looking forward to the rest of the spring. Yeah,
you're in on the tournaments this weekend also?
Oh yeah, Saturday. I have zero intention of letting Ryan beat me. I have two entries in that one, so he's going to be. We'll go 1-2. I'll finish first. He'll finish second, and that's the plan for now.
You're looking at the exacta for this weekend. Agree on Poncho, definitely in on that one, and then I'll go Royal American for an upset in the Springboard Mile. Well, got to thank the Gallop Out guys. Definitely check at them every week now on the In the Money Media Network. Check out the podcast. Check out the YouTube channel. And go to twinspires.com for the contest. You got to try to beat these guys, though. Good luck with that. We'll see y'all next time. Enjoy this weekend. Everyone have a happy holiday season. Talk to you soon.